Hello. On behalf of Jan Kolacek and myself, Deborah Lacoste, I wish to thank Emma Hornby and her team at the University of Bristol for the opportunity to present the Cantus Database and Cantus Index sites at this online workshop. Before we begin, we wish to acknowledge that Dalhousie University is located in Mi'kma'ki, the ancestral and unceded territory of the Mi'kmaq, and that the University of Waterloo is situated on the traditional territory of the neutral Anishinaabe and Haudenosaunee peoples. Our active work toward reconciliation takes place across our campuses through research, learning, teaching, and community building, and is centralized within our Indigenous Initiatives Office. Although we spend the majority of our time maintaining our websites and supporting our research staff, collaborators, and network partners, our web developer, Jan Kolacek, has dabbled in some tools that can offer some online analysis of the many thousands of chant records we have collected over the years. I expect that most or all of you are familiar with both the Cantus Database, inventories of manuscripts, and the Cantus Index catalog of chant texts and melodies. Just in case we have some new viewers today, I will briefly introduce these two sites. The Cantus Database first. Cantus is a database of the Latin chants found in manuscripts and early printed books. The contents are mostly from medieval manuscripts and fragments and represent the music sung during both the liturgical offices and the Mass. Although it was begun as a tool for researchers of the office, comprising tables of contents of antiphoners and breviaries, new additions include graduals and processionals, so music sung during the Mass is now represented. As of May 2021, the Cantus database holds over 519,000 records, where each is an individual chant from a specific manuscript. Over 64,000 of the chant records include the melody in Volpiano font, and this number continues to grow as we expand the data. Over 80 individual researchers have contributed to the Cantus database, dozens of them as student research assistants, and many of those have gone into careers in musicology, computer science, and library and information technology. Currently, the admin menu boasts 277 manuscript inventories and 161 fragment inventories. Some of these are published on the site, and some are in varying stages of completion or proofreading. With new inventories of manuscripts from Ecuador and fragments in North American archives, we are broadening our information base from its original focus in medieval Europe. Some of you may not be aware of the long history of the Cantus database. I find it remarkable that it was begun before the internet was in everyone's homes. Do you recognize any of these technological developments from the 1980s? From the 1980s through to now, Cantus has tried to keep pace with developments in both hardware and software technologies, at least as much as any digital project in the humanities could. And now a brief introduction to the Cantus Index. The Cantus Index is a catalog of chant texts and melodies, mostly in Latin, and we have just started to do some vernacular texts from later sources. The Cantus Index contains chants for both the liturgical offices and the Mass, and its primary function is to serve as a reference point for the manuscript databases that are connected in its online network. There are currently 12 project partners whose databases are linked through this hub site. As of May 2021, the Cantus Index reference catalog includes over 45,000 chant texts and 1,400 melodies. These contents are augmented and edited nearly daily as new chants are uncovered in manuscripts, and their data are recorded by registered users directly through an input form into this collaborative online research site. The Cantus Index is a newer project than the Cantus database, and it has benefited from having something of a fresh start in chant cataloging, without the hindrances of formatting changes and multiple migrations to new platforms that have been obstacles for the Cantus database over its 3 decades. The Cantus database and Cantus Index are now under the umbrella project Digital Analysis of Chant Transmission, funded through a 3-year partnership development grant from the Social Sciences and Humanities Research Council of Canada. Jennifer Bain at Dalhousie University is the principal investigator and is skillfully managing our dozens of international partners and networked projects. The homepage provides information on the goals for DACT, and the activities page gives an idea of what we had hoped to do last year but was cancelled, and what our new plans are. We have also been fortunate to receive server space on Compute Canada through a competitive process. Compute Canada is an advanced research computing platform that provides server space to selected Canadian research projects. Once data has been assembled, it should be possible to discover patterns. How much is enough? For a digital humanities project, we feel that our 500,000 records are a fairly solid base for search and comparison. More indexed sources will, of course, create an even stronger research environment, but we can obtain some interesting results with what we have right now. From basic searches for chant texts to calculations of similarity shown in statistics and diagrams, we are gradually increasing the number of applications on our sites and thereby tempting you to play with our data on screen. The text search, though basic, is one of the most valuable tools on the Cantus sites. For a quick Cantus Database text search, you can use the autocomplete search box that sits at the top right-hand corner of all pages on the site. That's this box right here. Controlled vocabularies are employed in several of the fields, including genre, as shown here, service, that is the offices and the mass, and feast name. Such entries improve findability and automated analysis, and we are increasing their use in the manuscript descriptions as well. You might achieve better search results if you alter the way that you request data from the system. For example, you may wish to search for text that is contained within a chant instead of just the words that are at its start. For example, this fragment leaf, now in the McGill University Library in Montreal, Canada, begins with perimus, but the full word is actually reperimus, and the chant is missing its first 15 words. In order to find this text, you can search for words you see in the latter part of the chant by using the pull-down option Contains. To find the partial word, perimus, you can click a secondary option, Search Exact Phrase, which pulls up the matching chant from the Cantus Index catalog. These text options are available for both full text searches and searches within just the incipit of the chant. Note that the incipit search is a bit faster. It is important to remember that although searching in the Cantus database provides many results, a search for a chant in the Cantus Index catalog will show results from not only the catalog itself, but from all partner databases, including the Cantus database, with direct links to the records in all connected sites. So begin your searches in Cantus Index. They will take you to the Cantus database and beyond. For example, a search for this invitatory antiphon for Acacius finds it in 3 sources indexed in the Cantus database. These are the 3 sources with their RISM sigla, and CD stands for Cantus database. A search for the responsory Gervasius et Protasius dixerunt Astasio in the feast for the martyrs Gervase and Protes, coming up on June 19th, results in 5 chants, 4 in the Cantus database and 1 in medieval music manuscripts online. Here they're listed, and if you click on those, you'll get the details. And a search for this responsory for the Annunciation of Mary returns 107 results in 6 different databases. These databases have links right to their home page on the left-hand side, and if you click on the number of chants on the right-hand side, you will be taken directly to those records within those databases. It might be useful for your research if you limit the results list to contain only chants where the melody has been entered. The melody is not a required field in Cantus inventories, so the lack of an entered melody in a chant record does not mean that there is no notation in the source or that the notation is not pitch accurate. It's just that it hasn't been added yet. I will add here that if you are working on a particular source and would be interested in transcribing the melodies into the Cantus database, please let us know. We're always looking to fill those fields. Melody search. The melodies are transcribed in Volpiano font, which does not encode all information about the neumes or staff notation, but its ease of use and immediate visual results outweigh its limitations. We have access to some MEI converters, that is, Volpiano to MEI and the other way around. So if we do change all of this to MEI someday, we will be able to salvage at least the melodic pitches. I search by melody under the Chants menu. Once I select the Search by Melody screen, I can enter pitches by dragging my mouse up and down on the staff. You'll see that as I add more notes, the search results are changing. And there are a couple of options here. I can search at the beginning of the melody like I'm doing right now. I can have exact matches or exact matches plus transpositions. And if I scan some of these results, I'm seeing the melody that I entered. Notice that the repeated notes are ignored, and this will improve my search results if there's a differing number of syllables within that repeated note. I also see a transposed version here because I've allowed all those options. I can also limit just by mode. If I want only the mode 1 results, then I get a fewer number. The Cantus Analysis tool compares the usages of chants assigned within particular feasts and offers several statistical outputs and data views. There are currently over 1,500 liturgical occasions included in the Cantus Database and Cantus Index. Each has a unique feast name as well as an 8-digit numerical feast code based on the date or the type of occasion. These unique identifiers are key in the underlying software programming. The analysis applications are intended as tools to see trends and begin new research questions. They allow users to select a feast, a manuscript source, or both in order to view similarities among indexed sources in the Cantus Index network. There are a few ways to access the Cantus analysis applications. You can create side-by-side tables of chants to view similarities and differences in chant series. You can compare the usage of chants within feasts with statistics like the percentages of similarity. And you can watch the similarities being calculated through animated diagrams on screen. Synoptic tables show the usage and ordering of chants and group them into traditions. There is a lot of flexibility for the user to select the parameters of the comparison, including the feast, the offices, and the positions of chants within the offices, as can be seen in the following search. In order to see how this feast analysis program works, we'll choose a feast. We'll take John the Baptist. It's coming up in June. And we'll just take a look at this detail screen. June the 24th, here's the feast code. And then all the chants that are related to this feast that have been assigned this feast name in the Cantus Index are listed here. Notice that the genres are sorted. It's alphabetical within each genre category. And the Corpus Antiphonalium Officii sources of Hesber are listed here for reference. We'll click Analyze this feast, and this takes us to the Cantus Analysis tool. We have here the chants for this feast included in 144 sources, and they're all listed by Rhythm Siglum on the left-hand side. For each of those manuscripts, we could analyze their relationship among all the other chants for this particular feast, John the Baptist. But instead, I think we'll look at this synoptic table. I'd like to know, side by side, what the Vespers chants are and how they relate to one another. So I'm just going to choose these particular Vespers ones, the Magnificat, and the ones that have been cataloged as the first 5 antiphons of First Vespers. And we get the Cantus Synoptic Tables chart. They've been separated by the computer into different traditions. 49 sources have just this particular chant as the Magnificat, and the sources are listed underneath. In those sources, there are no other antiphons included for first vespers of this feast. In tradition 2, 13 sources have this ordering and usage of chants. And we take a look at these sources underneath. There's a Franciscan one. There's another couple of Franciscan. They have all grouped together, plus a few others. Back to tradition 3, it's just the first antiphon that's been included in these sources, and the Magnificat antiphon. Some from Austria. The Klosterneuburg ones are together there. But let's look at tradition 4. We have 3 sources that have this unique usage and ordering. Notice how they're different than tradition 2, or 6, or 7 as we look through these charts. The Magnificat antiphon is still the same one. And in here, well, look, there's the 2 Cistercian sources are in there. Cambrai sources are together with another unique ordering and usage of particular chants for Vespers. And so these tables can be useful just to scan through, and they might begin a research project.
Hello, my name is Jan Koláček, and in my presentation I will talk about the new tool called Cantus Analysis Diagrams. The main purpose of the Cantus Analysis tool is to demonstrate different liturgic traditions on examples taken from individual feasts. This presentation will show the new method how to detect and demonstrate various liturgic traditions through easily comprehensible interactive diagrams. As we see on the main page of the Cantus Analysis tool, we are comparing the data from 5 databases connected through the Cantus Index. We are going to add the comparison also the data from all the remaining databases which are listed in the Cantus Index title page. We will start by selecting a feast. In the current version, we analyze and compare only chants for individual feasts. We do not compare the whole sources. This makes the Cantus Analysis tool and diagrams fully compatible and useful also for fragments where we might have chants only for one single feast. So, each Cantus Analysis diagram is always related to a selected feast. For the purposes of this presentation, we select the feast of Mary Magdalene and we click Analyze. Then we can easily see which sources have chants for Mary Magdalene and how many. We can also analyze each single source where the main column will show us the chants for this feast in the selected source with all the liturgical details such as office, liturgical position. Each chant, of course, has its Cantus ID, which is crucial for determining sources with the same chants. In the right column, we can easily see the most similar sources sorted by the number of same chants, or more exactly, the number of same Cantus IDs. The analysis results are based simply on the lists of unique Cantus IDs contained in the sources for a particular feast. This means that the other fields describing exact liturgical function of chants, such as office and position, are not considered in this analysis. In other words, we only analyze the lists of single Cantus IDs for a particular feast in a group of sources, disregarding the order of chants in the liturgy. Based on the number of chants with the same IDs, we can easily determine the most similar sources for each source and feast. But the problem of the Cantus Analysis tool is that there is a large amount of data, many numbers, and very long tables, which do not directly reply the question on how many liturgic traditions we have for the feast, and which source belongs to which tradition. So it is the right time to click on the Cantus Analysis diagram link to see all the data in a more comprehensible form. Each source is here represented by a bubble, which can be displayed and hidden with the checkboxes at the left part, where the sources are sorted according to the number of chants, from the bigger at the top to smaller below. The radius of the bubbles, I will refresh it for another version. The radius of the bubbles depends on the number of chants, so the bubbles at the top of the list are bigger than the sources listed below. I can add some of the smaller sources. In order to save time when clicking the checkboxes, we can use the top slider, which limits the size of the bubbles which are displayed. Moving the slider to the right increases the limit for the bubbles to display, so only the biggest are displayed. Moving the slider to the left makes all the bubbles visible, which might be confusing in case of some feeds or diagrams. That's why I will put it back to the right side to better explain how the bubbles are moving. After mouse click on each bubble, we can drag it and move it where we want to have it. At the same time, when the mouse is pressed, we can see all the relationships with the other sources, which are taken from the right column in the Cantus Analysis tool. There was displayed the number of the same chants and its percentual rate from the total number of chants of the same fees in the manuscript. The same data are displayed with the click on each bubble. So we can see here 52 chants and 74%. With the smaller amounts of the same chants, the line is thinner, and if there are no same chants, the relation line is not displayed at all. We will add some more sources to see the difference of the lines connecting each bubble. And of course, as you can see when I drag one of the sources with mouse, the sources are attracted more if the line is stronger, and they are repelled if they have no relationship. If we add more sources, each appears in a random positions and tries to find its way to the sources which are the most similar. Now we can see that the sources form 3 different groups which can be later examined in the synoptic table to prove that the sources in each group belong to the same liturgic tradition. We can also easily display and hide all the relationships by clicking the top checkbox. And of course, we can easily switch to any other feast. I choose randomly to see what happens. Here is one tradition. In case of Barbara, it seems There is one main tradition and some sources with different chants. In case of a brigade, we see there is one main tradition and some Czech sources have other chants. The feast Ambrosi shows us two traditions. In case of Adalberti, we can distinguish probably two traditions. Basilidis et Sociorum, clearly two traditions. Saint Anne has beautiful three traditions. This tool still needs some work, but playing with it and trying various feasts in the top left corner is quite addictive, and I believe it will help to demonstrate the relations between sources and suggest various liturgic traditions as a starting point and inspiration for the next research. Thank you for your attention.
You can also download all the manuscript data from the Cantus database for use on your own computer. Each source has an option for CSV downloads in the right-hand menu, and we can also send you a list of JSON links if that's an easier solution for you. Check back often for updates, since records are edited and added all the time. Please let us know if you have any questions, comments, or suggestions. The Cantus Database and Cantus Index are among the longest-running academically crowdsourced projects in the digital humanities, and our combined efforts continue to make these sites some of the most valuable tools for medieval chant research. Thank you.